Full house today on FT. Scotty Braun and Todd Frazier together. AJ Pierzynski and Cam Maybin all over the country right now. So let's get into it. And before we get to a little trade action, actually, AJ, you'll like this. Not only am I reminding anyone that's watching on the YouTube side of the equation to subscribe, but yesterday someone in the chat told me to remind everyone the uniqueness of Foul Territory. And I said, what? Because I think there's a lot of things that makes the show unique. And he said, you're live every day. He said, I am a longtime watcher, but I would watch at like 5 or 6 o'clock and didn't know that you guys are live on Valley Sports Marquee and on YouTube every day. So you want to let everyone know that we do this show live. That's why we put a lot into it, because we're actually here every day and not taping stuff.
Isn't that your job, to let everyone know to subscribe and to tune in live every day?
I feel like they like you better, though, especially on Marquee. They probably like you better.
Everybody likes me better, Scott. I mean, that's like a given.
So if you say it, it just holds more meaning. So we'll put it that way.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, we're live every day, especially on Marquee. All my Cub fans out there, come watch us, come say hi. And also, we're live on Bally, YouTube. And if you hit the little subscribe button, it's free. Even Scott can afford it, and he won't complain. Well, he'll complain.
That is true.
But
that is true. That's why I love it. That is why I love it. All right, so let's charge the damn mound because we have a trade. All right, Cam, let's get you in this one. So Aaron Civale was traded last year for Kyle Manzardo, who was a pretty big prospect in the system for the Tampa Bay Rays, but they really bought into Civale. He has not pitched well since they picked him up, and now they flip him over to the Milwaukee Brewers. So it's always nice to get a trade when we're still about a month away from the deadline. Here's Robert Murray reporting it, very good friend of the FT fam here. Civale from the Rays for prospect Gregory Barrios is a shortstop prospect in the Milwaukee Brewers system. Not ranked super high, more of an upside play here. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it for both sides. Anytime the Tampa Bay Rays are involved in any trade, I think there's a chance that they might win it. They know something that nobody else knows. But then you have Aaron Civale. He's a veteran guy. And, we talk about him not pitching well, but he's a guy, and I think Fraz as a hitter and AJ as well as a hitter knows, like, he's a guy who's actually, I think, overachieved when you talk about the stuff that he has. So he's a guy that knows how to pitch. I think he can go over to Milwaukee, help that staff. That's a central division that is looking like it is Milwaukee's for the taking right now. When you look at Chicago, what they're doing, Seattle's never out of it. But I think this is a good move for both teams. And like you said, it's always good to see some action before the trade deadline actually happens.
Yeah, they're 6 games up right now in their division, and I think you can always use another arm. And the possibility of an injury, I mean, we've seen it before in the playoffs where teams, you think about the Diamondbacks who, had a couple starters and was bullpen day every once in a while in the playoff game. So it's like you can always use another arm. I think this is a steady arm. The season hasn't gone the way he wanted, but you get a change of scenery, you never know what can happen. And that's a possibility. Now you're in first place again. You go from a team that it was third or fourth now in the division. Now they go to a team that's first place. So that can be only more exciting for him. And, we'll see how this young prospect transpires. Maybe this is a good thing for him as well to get out of that organization, see if Gregory can do something else, and maybe all of a sudden something clicks. So some people look at these things as bad. I look at it as great, to be honest. So for Civale, another good pickup, and I think he'll prosper. Do I think he's going to excel and be the, top-end starter? No, but I think he'll be a good 4 or 5 for sure.
My question
AJ, what do you got?
What are the Rays doing? The Rays just got over 500. They're not that far out. I mean, I get that, the Rays try to rebuild and reload it on the fly. But, I mean, the Rays just got over 500. They're 11 games out. They're probably not winning the division, but they got a shot at the wild card. And they're 3 games out of the wild card, and Civale is one of their guys. And listen, for a team that's banged up, especially in the starting rotation with, all the starters they have down, to trade a starter away surprises me. But, hey, like Cam said, the Rays always seem to know something better than everyone else. So I don't know what they're doing, but, I think he did have a 5 ERA, and so he was struggling. A lot of people are on the Rays fans, especially Tampa Bay, is very happy that he's gone. But, at the same time, I don't know. You always need arms.
Yeah, and usually it's a win for them, AJ, right? You get a phone call and you're like, oh, you want Civale? And he was pitching well for Cleveland. You're like, what do you know? Although Cleveland's got a good pitching machine too. And you're right. His cutter was getting smashed this year. He's just been on a really down year at 5+ ERA. And I think they feel at this point that they've got guys that they can put in his place that will do better from a production standpoint. It is waving the white flag a little bit even on the trade aspect, because Manzardo was a pretty good prospect in their system. I know he hasn't hit much yet with Cleveland, but yeah, let's take this one step further. So do you think they will, and do you think they should keep going here, AJ? Or do you think this is just them kind of getting addition by subtraction? Like, does this include, maybe a Randy Arozarena conversation, a Pete Fairbanks, a Garrett Clevenger, a Jason Adam, Zach Eflin, Sean Armstrong? I mean, even Yandy Diaz, because you know how the Rays operate. Once a guy gets to like a couple years left of service time, they usually flip him.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Can we get like Kevin Cash on or somebody that knows the Rays organization a little bit better and explain, what they're doing, what they're trying to do? I think the Rays right now don't think they're good enough to get it, obviously, to win the division. Maybe they don't think they're good enough to even get in. And they're, Randy should be on the block. Yes, Yandy should be on the block. Pretty much anybody that they could get something for. This is what the Rays do better than anybody else, is make trades at the right time and make sure that they're stay ahead of the game with their rebuild, reload, whatever you want to call it down there when they do it the Ray way.
Quick on the Brewers too, Todd Father, do you think that Milwaukee should be very aggressive over the next few weeks because they're in first place? So, Ken Rosenthal covered this on Fair Territory before our show, and he had a great job, on the reporting aspect with some of his colleagues on the fact that the Brewers were going to make moves like this. This is a back-end starter for them right now, and that they weren't going to go for the jugular this season, which is generally not what they do anyway. But, I know there's some powerhouses in the National League. Why not Milwaukee?
Why not? And I think you think about it, 6 games, it's a lot, but really it's not in the division. I feel like some of the other teams are going to have guys coming back that can make a substantial push to go for the division. I felt like the Reds were going to be the top dogs here. They have some injuries, and now some guys will be coming back sooner than later. So, yeah, I think the Brewers have to. I think they should. I think they should be finding arms. I think find another reliever. I think they have an opportunity to do some things here with a first-year manager in Murphy. I think, why not? Put the pedal to the metal, go after and get somebody and make a push here to make an opportunity to get to the World Series.
Yeah, I agree with I agree with Todd. And one thing people don't know about him, we have to enlighten them. Pat Murphy is a guy who gets the best out of guys. He has a way about making guys feel really good about themselves and really confident, maybe more confident they should be at times. So you talk about a guy like Civale, and I think the guy that I look at, Tyler Anderson is a guy that, I don't think of posture a lot, but if you have a couple prospects to give up, he would fit in perfect in Milwaukee in that division, in that rotation. And that, that might be the extra arm, because Civale is a guy who also can do a lot of things for you. He doesn't just have to be a starter. He can be that bridge guy. He can give you a couple innings if you need to get him to the back end of the bullpen as well. So the Milwaukee Brewers definitely, I think, should try to go for it and go ahead and lock that thing up.
Yeah, and they took a ton of hits, remember, for that rotation. I mean, DL Hall is working his way back. Wade Miley's done for the year. Of course, Woodruff's not back until next year, most likely at this point. They traded away Corbin Burns, so they have to do a little bit of, shuffling around. And they've
Scott, I saw Woodruff in San Diego. He's pretty positive he's not coming back this year. I talked to him for a while. Actually ran into him and his wife, pregnant, on the water side there in San Diego, and he was pretty positive he's not going to make it back this year. But he's like, man, this is hell. I'm grinding through it, but man, this sucks.
Yeah, that, of course. I mean, you go from Woodruff, Burns, and Freddie P, and they've been able to make this work. Even Robert Gasser, who we talked about a couple weeks ago, who was really good for 5 starts for them, he goes down with Tommy John surgery, so it sucks for them. All right, let's spend a minute on one other game from last night, aside from the trade news here. The Orioles blanked the Mariners. Sneaky good series going on here and some really good pitching, and there's more good pitching going down tonight, especially with Logan Gilbert pitching for Seattle. We'll get to that later, but Grayson Rodriguez shut down the Mariners. I know, AJ, you're probably not going to be surprised here. Shocker, 8 strikeouts through 6 1/3 for Grayson Rodriguez, who threw it to the bullpen, and Kimbrel did his usual roller coaster dance, but got through it, and they win 2-0. To me, this says more about Seattle still. Like, you're now facing upper echelon competition, and I'm incredibly concerned about their lineup right now. And I'll continue to say they have a pitching staff that can win a World Series, but they have a lineup that can't win a division.
Their team-wise, I don't think together they're hitting over 240, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to be out of turn there, but last time I saw, that's going to be a problem. And as you see, 0 runs, facing a really good pitcher. They're facing a really good team. And next thing you know, boom, they get shut out. Julio Rodriguez has been struggling. He's been on the struggle bus too as well. It hasn't been the year he's wanted. That guy needs to pick it up a little bit. He's their superstar. They have the pitching, but guess what? When you don't hit, you're not going to win. They'll probably make the playoffs. We know that.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen when they do make the playoffs?
This might happen. 2-0 to Baltimore. You know, they lead the league in strikeouts, AJ, and J-Rod was actually on that list, not high up, but for, you know, the player poll they did on The Athletic for overrated. What's the 7?
He hit 7th last night.
Yeah. He's struggling, dude. I mean, he's not struggling good at bats together.
Oof. Yeah. Yeah, Grayson should be an all-star. I'm sorry. Like, I love Grayson. Obviously, he comes on the show all the time, and talked to him in Baltimore and had him on Fox broadcast and asked him, have you booked your plans for Arlington yet? And he's like, it's too early. But listen, he's 10-2, 9-2, something like that, with under a 3.5 ERA, or right around a 3.5 ERA. So he needs to be an all-star, and that's why I took the over on strikeouts, and I just made it. But listen, the Mariners don't hit good pitching. They really don't hit anybody in general. They strike out a ton, and the Orioles are really good. And Kimbrel, listen, man, Craig, Dirty Craig, I love you. He once traded for Cam Maybin right before spring training, right before the season started, right at the end of spring training.
Made us teammates.
Man, he's gonna give me a heart attack, Cam. I know you're not this old yet, but man, watching some of these games, the way he closes them out, oh boy, he's going to give you a heart attack, but he figures out a way to get it done, and he's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame by doing it.
It's crazy because the stuff is still there when you see Craig Kimbrel. So, but I think that's just a part of the journey when you talk about, you know, having him come in and shut the door. It's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster. But to add to your point with Grayson, he's been phenomenal. You look at his 14 starts, and 11 of them have been absolutely outstanding. And then too, one thing I've always questioned on the other end, when you talk about the Mariners, yeah, they can't hit. And the one thing that bothers me when you look at the lineup, when you look at the division, the field they play in, it's a lot of the same approaches. Everybody's swinging for the fence, and nobody, you know, is choking up. Nobody's trying to take the single. It's a lot of swing and miss, a lot of you swinging for the downs. And another thing, we talk about numbers, right? And last night I'm looking at this game, and I'm watching him go through the lineup, and 5 of the first 6 hitters were lefties. Well, Grayson Rodriguez versus lefties this year, a 197 average, 2 homers given up. So I'm like, you know, leadership, management, these are things that you have to start looking at them as well when you're making a lineup. You just set it up. You set it up nice for Grayson pretty much last night if you look at the numbers. And all we go by is analytics nowadays, right? We forget to watch the game. Well, the numbers say stick some righties in there, mix it up, figure some things out. So the Mariners, they do struggle offensively, but I still have always questioned the leadership aspect when it comes to the Mariners about making those very key decision-making moves when it comes to having to win those tough games.
It's a good call. I mean, it's a spreadsheet lineup. They got rid of their essentially hitting coach, or the leader of the offense in Brent Brown. Someone had to take a hit there. And they do platoon quite a bit, too, to death, right? Without even I don't want to say without paying attention to the other side, but they have a structure and they go by that. Remember years back when I think it was one of the first years that the Dodgers during this run were in the World Series, and they were getting criticized because everything was so platoon oriented. It was Farhan Zaidi, you know, in tandem with Andrew Friedman, and they switched it up with some guys that play every day. So it definitely hurt them. The one other thing about Julio that I did hear about and read about a little bit is he did make some changes in the offseason, and it kind of made him less athletic in his stance. And then he switched back, and he's been having a hard time because, I mean, if you make drastic changes in the offseason, then it doesn't work. Then you're trying to switch back, and you're seeing the same game plan against him over and over, hard in and then spin away, which is obviously a pretty common game plan against many, but it looks like clockwork. Like it's not changing for a while now. And hey, his second half was insane, but they go as he goes, you know?
To change your approach, I remember people are like, man, how do you, for myself, not to bring myself an example, I had an arm bar. So when I went back, my arm would straighten out. And if it didn't bend through to come in, like, why don't you change that? I'm like, how the hell am I going to freaking change that now? I'm 25 years old. What are you talking about? It works when it's right. Like, I don't know why he would ever think he would need to change his swing. I thought it was just fine. People get these new hitting coaches, these gurus, they call them. And they're like, oh, let's do this. Let's fly open and do the launch angle thing, which I think is a bunch of baloney. And it gets in your head. Now you got to have the exact swing on. You can't have the same swing on every pitch. And that's what I think troubles people like, oh, I can do this every time. Well, no, you're not going to do it here. You're not going to do it down there. And the guy's going to flip you over a hamburger and you're going to be in trouble. So, yeah, I didn't know that about him. That's tough to hear.
And if you're Jose Abreu or Tim Anderson, you're halfway out of the league. Sure, you want to make a drastic change, go for it. But if you're Julio and you were one of the best players in the second half of the season, just stay on track there. We got a break because Rowdy Tellez is waiting for us, so we'll swing right back with Rowdy having a big June. We'll see if he carries it into July. We'll talk some crap with Rowdy, of course. All right, we're back on FT for a quick minute to continue the Orioles-Mariners conversation. But my last part of the puzzle here for Seattle, and we only got 2 minutes, and then we'll come back with Rowdy out of the break here. I think they need to replace, 2 to 3 hitters at least in this lineup. And I actually do look at who could be available. It's not big bats aside from maybe like a Luis Robert type of name, but there's going to be a ton of, mid-level bats that are available, and they don't usually cost a ton. Seattle needs to just do something drastic this time, Cam, where it's like, you know what? I'm Jerry DiPoto. Same thing hasn't been working for a while. We didn't even make the playoffs last year. Let's really switch it up, and let's sacrifice a little bit of the future for now.
Yeah, they don't hit for power. They don't hit for average. So I hear you, Scott, but it's like, where do they actually really go? Because, where are you going to go get those guys? Because for me, like Todd said, I think it's a lot that has to do with approach. You watched Grayson last night. He literally just, just killed those guys with fastball, top of the zone, breaking ball below the zone. And like he said, it was just the same swing. At some point in the hitters meeting, if your team isn't a team that hits for power, okay, our identity is putting the ball in play. Our identity is working the gaps, working the count, having team at bats. Let's try to get into the bullpen. You have to, at some point, change the approach, because it's going to be hard to go out and just go find 3 guys, especially if you don't have the pieces to give up. They do when you talk about pitching, but pitching has got them where they are. So I don't know how many of those arms you want to give up. You always need pitching depth. But I think at some point you need to go in there and go, what is our team approach and what is our team identity from an offensive standpoint?
So I'm looking through names. I know we only got a minute, and then we'll get back and go to Rowdy, and we can always get to this later too. But I'm looking at like a Taylor Ward, a Lane Thomas, guys that make contact, but also obviously can bring more thump, but like controlled thump, if that makes sense. I'm looking through more names, maybe a Marcana to get on base. There are names like guys like that are not going to cost a ton.
Andujar, get him out of Oakland.
Yeah, he's actually had a sneaky good year. Rooker, obviously, if you can get him, would be a nice fit there too, right?
Yeah, but those are the type of guys they need to mix in that lineup, especially like these guys know Safeco. It's a hard place to hit, man. That place is it gets in guys' head. Look at Teoscar, bro. He's so happy to get out of there. Like, it was in his head. He finally
No, you're right.
He got going in the second half. I played there, dude. It's if you're a guy that think you got pop and all of a sudden you hit one of that left center gap, yeah, good luck.
What's up? We're back, full house, and now it gets even more packed with Rowdy Tellez from the Pittsburgh Pirates joining us on FT. So, Rowdy, first off, before we begin, because you've been with us since the jump, right? You were one of our first interviews. We have you on every few weeks here. FT is on national television now, so we do have to adjust our language a bit for now, which I know might be difficult, not just for you, but it's been a little tough for us too.
Can't cook them as much anymore. I even wore my hat backwards for him because somebody asked if that was my dad, and I was like, you know what? Maybe. I was like,
well, you know what? AJ, a chance to reply if you'd like before I.
No, I'm just going to let him go because I'm sure he's on his 3rd trip to the buffet. It's 1:19 right now. It looks like he's in the food room.
I'm in the equipment room. No, my teammates are out there. They've been texting me, so my phone's been buzzing. You wouldn't know about that. You weren't a good one. So like, my guys like to hang out. So it's okay. Don't worry about it, dude. But good try. I'll give you a second chance. You can come up with better fat jokes and sit on it and then just wait. But I'll give you a shot to use them again.
Hey, Rowdy, first off, you're not fat. When I grew up, you husky, bro. There's a difference.
I wore size 10, 12 husky for about 4 years.
Yeah, you're not fat, bro. There's a difference. Husky as athletic. That's why you're getting bags right now.
Yeah.
I need at least three more on the year. I need at least three more bags on the season, bud. I need at least 3 more on the season.
I don't know if my knees can hold up for that.
We might as well start there. So, did you have a reply? I didn't see it, to your buddy O'Neal Cruz when he said that he could take you backwards in a race?
Yeah, good thing you ended that at the end.
Yeah, that was helpful. Yeah.
I don't know, dude. He flies. He's just such his strides are so long. I don't know, dude. I'm not fast, but I'll score from second on a double.
On a triple.
See, I beat you to it. You must be lagging over there. I don't know what's wrong with you, man. But I know you're a little slower in Florida, but don't worry about it.
I'm not in Florida. I'm in Arizona.
That's where you're from, though. Don't. It's okay.
Wait,
here we go.
When you stole this base, how come you didn't do Ricky Henderson and hold the base up like he did and say, "Today I am the great"? First of all, Hunter Green, what are you doing? Not paying attention to you. And then second of all, did you have the pitch com because you stolen a slider in the dirt?
Well, I mean, it's 0-2 count, 2 outs. He's a good pitcher, so it's like, might as well take my shot. And if Nick wanted to lead off, Nick can lead off again, give him a fresh up if I get him out. Dang it. I dropped my phone.
Oh, man.
But, sorry, I'm professional over here.
We didn't catch it either. Okay, we're good. We're back.
Yeah, but, dude, don't worry. I'm athletic. I picked it right out of there. But I don't know. No, I just felt like running. I took my Voltaren that day. Felt good.
Hey, a little base run.
Oh, now he's getting calls. Look at this guy. Wait, hold on. Sorry, he's getting calls. Did you get a phone call?
Hey, a little base run. A little base run and tip though. Hey, 3-0 count. They 100% will forget about you. Yes. 3-0 get you a running start. That you could get you a few more, get in a scoring position, and your friends will love you even more.
Yeah, I ended up scoring on that too. That Nick had a single, so I ended up scoring. So see, AJ.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. When you catch me in stolen bases, though, we'll talk. Okay.
Well, how many do you have? Because I don't think I'm gonna go for that.
I'm double digits, so that's all that matters. When you get to double digits, maybe we'll talk.
Well, that's like 10 through 99. I mean,
well, again, when you get to double digits, you got a long way to go to get to 10.
I can give the number. I have it.
Was it 15? 15? Yep. 15. Yep.
Well, dude, back then pitchers were still doing the windup with runners on base. I don't know what you're so proud of.
Oh man, I got you in triples too. So.
Oh.
What's the number?
I mean, I had like 2 or 3 of those, so don't worry.
I mean, see,
you played in big yards, and you played with pitchers that were putting balls on the tee for you. I'm surprised you don't travel with your silver slugger to show people you actually got one.
I would if I could, but Scott took it and hit it, so I can't even show it off anymore.
Yeah, that checks out.
That was for you, Rowdy. I hit that for you.
Yeah. Rowdy, when did you meet your best friend, the little kid that has gotten you hot? Because Lord knows that this kid shows up and you got hot. So have you started to bring him on the road with you when you go everywhere or what?
Talking Xander.
I asked the Pirates to pay for a hotel and flight for him, but they said no. I met him in Milwaukee in 2022 when we played the Blue Jays, actually. And he had the same sign, but it said 5th birthday. And I ended up hitting a couple of home runs that day, and I think I did. I think he came the next year after that for his 6th birthday, and I don't think I did anything, which is not surprising. And then he wanted me to hit 3 homers, and I said, buddy, I only have 2 on the year, so let's just go for 1. We'll start there. And so he did that, but he keeps it light. It's fun. It's always fun interacting with people like that, and I think a lot of people forget that we're just just normal people too with a cool job.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of putting it, man. There's some good things that happen during the year that most don't hear about. This is really cool. I want to talk a little bit about the trade deadline coming up. Guys are 3.5 games out of the wild card. There's a lot of teams still in it. Do you see this team making any moves?
I don't know. I think we're in a good spot. You know, obviously, you're never going to say no to adding additions to your team that can help you win. But I think a lot of people wrote us off early, but we got a top rotation in baseball. I mean, obviously, we have 2 electrics at the top, but I don't think Mitch Kelly gets enough recognition for what he's been doing. You know, I think we got a lineup that's starting to figure it out a little bit more, starting to lengthen out. So I think if we can keep taking 2 or 3, I mean, that's the goal in every series. But you know, I think we're gonna be good. I think the All-Star break's coming up. I think a little break, and then it's full go after that.
Hey, Rowdy, I want to touch on that as well. Let's talk about what you guys do have right now in the locker room. What's the vibe right now? Because that Central, it's still up for grabs. And you guys do have, I think, like you said, a top-of-the-line rotation when you look at the Central. I think you have guys that can compete. What's the vibe and what is the mentality offensively? What are you guys saying, hey, we need to do to give these guys a chance?
Yeah, I think when you look at the top teams in baseball, what they do really well is capitalize on situations. Leading off the inning with a double and being able to get them over and get them in, or things like that with the bat, making sure that every out is productive, or making the most of your outs productive. But I think we do a good job with trying to do that the best we can. But when you have a pitching staff on the mound that consistently holds everybody to 3 runs, that's then the rest is on us. So we got to show up and produce. But we have a good group of guys. We have professional young players here. We have guys that understand their roles. So I think it's starting to come to here, which is really nice. It's special, especially when some guys here played on World Series teams and played on winning teams, and they're starting to see the same thing. That's always what you want to have.
One thing about my bad, real quick, AJ. I want to follow that.
Go ahead.
You talk about a good mix. Who is that veteran guy? I know Kutch is there. I know, Reynolds is there. I know you're there. I know you take a lot of pride in being a teammate. But who is that guy? Who's been that guy to get those young guys to say, let's have team at bats? Let's find a way to win and eliminate the selfish mindset. Like, who has been that veteran guy? I'm curious.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think out of a lot of these guys here, I probably would say I've had the most up and down career with success and failure. So I think I can speak a lot on when these young players go through things. And I think, it's always one of those where it's just like, hey, tomorrow's a new day. Let's flush today, especially when guys are struggling too. And a lot of young players in here that have played together for a long time. So I think for me, it's just trying to show them, like, hey, it's okay to fail, but on the flip side of that, you still got to be the same guy day in and day out, still be the same teammate, whether we win 18-0 and, there's always somebody in one of those games that's the 0 for 6. There's always somebody like that out there. And, that's the worst feeling when your team's banging and you're struggling or you're struggling in general for a whole series and can't really do much, but your team's got your back. It's hard to be the same guy. So I think just looking at guys and making sure you keep a smile on their face and keep them light. I mean, that's what they did for me when I was struggling. They made sure I was smiling, kept me happy, made sure I was okay. I think teammates don't or the fans don't really understand how much teammates are meaningful, especially when you have a good group of guys that can communicate with one another and, honestly just hang out. You guys know how it is. It's just that's how the winning teams are. Nobody, the clubhouse is pretty tight. Nobody comes in and really breaks anything up.
Rowdy, quit bragging on yourself. You said that in spring training, when you're making fun of guys for what pants they were wearing on their flight, but that's you. We get it.
Well, I mean, we're not going to wear sweats and t-shirts on flight. I mean, you don't act like, then you want to turn around and be a good guy and act like it and try and harp on me because everybody sits there and like, oh my God, it's AJ Pierzynski or whatever, however you say your last name, don't care. But they think like they put you on this pedestal and I'm sitting here like, hey man, we're going to do things the right way. I'm not you. Just because matter of fact, I'm tired of people confusing me for you, so I'm going to put my hat on, right? And, dude.
First of all you got to do is take your hat off and they'll know you're not me, okay? So let's
I
just
don't know,
establish.
dude. You got one on right now. It looks like you could
Dude,
be
I got
bald.
full head of hair. I got so much hair. Look at it. It's all the way down to my
Yeah,
face.
good for you, dude. Congratulations.
All right. Let me ask you this question, though. You talk about your pitching staff, and it's led by Keller, obviously. And then you got two young guys, and you got Skeens and Jones. Which one of them would you have a better shot of not punching out on 3 pitches off of? Skeens or Jones?
Well, considering I faced Jones on a rehab assignment and didn't punch out on 3 pitches, I haven't faced Paul, but a lot of guys punch out on 3 pitches. And I faced Mitch before. Might be in the book. But I don't know, dude. They're all nasty, and I do punch out a lot on 3 pitches. I'll just stand there and window shop the whole time. You know, I don't like heaters down the middle occasionally, and I don't know why I'm like that, but you know, it happens.
Hey,
Okay. So the answer is who? Jones?
Probably all 3 of them, dude. I don't know. They
And by
throw
the way,
100. You didn't
by the
face
way,
that.
just there's a rule, and I'm going to tell you this rule: you can't have a book until you get to 100. So when you hit 4 more homers, we'll get you a book.
All right, dude. Sick.
Right now, it's a notepad.
Well, it still has a cover and a back, doesn't it?
It's not a book, though.
So
You got to get
therefore,
100.
it's a book. It has a spine on it, maybe on top, not on the side. Hey, all books are different. Some are picture books, like what you read, because I know you don't know how to read, so you're a big picture guy.
Oh,
Some of us like to read other books. They may be a couple pages, and yours may be longer. Congrats, dude. You played for a long time, and you ordered a Silver Slugger off Amazon, and good, I don't care. But I got a little book, too.
he's on fire today.
Oh,
All right, last one. I'll try and do one serious
Uh.
baseball question, okay? Just because you had a really, really, really hot June, and I know it was a struggle to start the year. Classic baseball question, and I'm sure you were asked it. Was there anything different going on? Did you make any adjustments? What went through your mind to get you through that crazy June that you just had?
Well, I started to do a toe tap in like the end of May, and I think doing that and kind of trying to figure that out and like master that really just taught me like I don't need to change much. I just need to trust every move I make and believe what I'm doing. So I think that was really it. And the toe tap taught me to get back on my backside a little bit more again, and I was able to hit the ball hard and be more consistent. So I don't think there was anything really that changed.
I like that. Hey, remember this. Remember, we talked, and it's not you. The Pirates have, been through it for the last 4 or 5 years. They sign vets. It's like you play well, and you're going to get dealt. You probably need to make sure that lease takes you through the rest of the year in Pittsburgh, dude.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I want to be here. I think we do have a good shot at making the playoffs, and then when we do make the playoffs, when you have 3 pitchers, as you guys know that played in the playoffs, and you have 3 pitchers that can roll out there, I mean, you got a good shot. And we have that.
I agree. I hope they continue this, dude. It's been fun to watch. Appreciate the time as always, dude. Good match today. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, appreciate it.
Rowdy versus AJ. Good match today.
Yeah, AJ, dude, I don't think you have a tally under the back and forth column, but I do like you, dude. I do respect you sometimes. But the other 2, I love playing against you guys. It was awesome, but AJ, dude, I'm so glad that you're on this side because you wouldn't make it anymore.
Wait, whoa. Why would I not make it?
No, just in the clubhouse, dude. I would alienate you so quick.
Why?
I'd give you a swirly and leave you in there.
Oh, you would? Oh, you would alienate me. Oh, okay.
I would lock you in every room.
Ask
possible.
Cam. Ask the guy. I don't know what side he's on. That side. Ask Cam.
Hey, he was a sticky good teammate. At least it was good to me. He treated me good. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, so Rowdy, I'd give you the finger
Dude,
on TV.
You're like the first person that said that, and I know he's sitting there. He's got to be close by or something. You got to be scared. I don't know why.
But
He's got something
but Rowdy,
over him.
I'm like
That's what
you.
he
But
does.
Rowdy, I'm like you. If people don't get along with us, then something's wrong with them.
Yeah.
So I'm easy to get along with.
Yeah, me too. I just don't like AJ. That's just it.
We'll have a swirly competition at some point. I haven't heard that word in a
Swirly,
minute.
I love
Swirly. Geez, what are we?
Classic.
Well, now that we're on air, I can't say what I was gonna do. So like, dude, I got to be normal again.
The PG version was good. That was good. That was great delivery. So you passed the test, dude. Great job. Keep it up, dude. And
AJ,
we'll
you
talk
strike
to
me
you in
as
a few
somebody
weeks.
that uses the toilet on the airplane. That's you.
Never in my life would
That's
I ever
you.
do that.
Yeah.
You don't know me that well, Rowdy. I am the most non-public bathroom person in the world.
You're a germaphobe.
No, I'm not a germaphobe at all, but I'm just not a public bathroom user.
Dude.
He's a superstitious dude, like whatever you call
he's the type of guy that sits on the toilet for a while, then plays on his phone until his legs go numb. But guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Everybody does that. Everyone does. Wait till you're married. Wait till you're married for 25 years. Trust me, you value that time.
They call that the
You
safe
know what?
Room.
When that happens, I'll call
This
you.
is
when
this is
I'm-
what
when
I
I'm in
miss
hiding.
about getting to first base. This is what I miss about getting to first base. The most entertaining first baseman in the game.
That's why the world
Hey,
needs
Jay,
to
you
know.
hear that? Nobody said
Hey,
anything
that's only
about you
because
when
Joe.
they got in the
That's
box.
only
They're
because
like,
Joe
"Oh, I wanna
Votto's
get
not
out of here."
playing. It's only because Joe Votto's in the bushes.
Dude, you can't. Okay, hold on. He's on a rehab assignment. You can't tell that man he's in the bushes.
I can tell him whatever I want.
He's on a rehab assignment. That's different.
Okay, all right, we got to go.
No,
Rowdy.
he can come on the show and defend himself. But yes,
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Rowdy,
think he can too.
yes, well played, dude. Great to talk to you as always. Keep it up, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
We'll see y'all. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. Just for everyone to know, that's a little taste of what it's like to be at first base next to Rowdy. That's good stuff. Okay, people, we're back. I don't know how you follow that, but we will by saying FT has a special show this Sunday. We are going to be at the street race in Chicago, the NASCAR Road Show, where you can get tickets at NASCARChicago.com. Also includes FT. Yeah, it's an FT NASCAR collaboration. And there's special performances by Keith Urban, the Chainsmokers, the Black Keys, and more. AJ, are you ready?
Oh, am I ever? I can't believe Cam's not coming. Being from North Carolina, you know he loves NASCAR. So
you know I love that NASCAR, man. Come around that corner, car 54 down, come around that corner down fast, buddy.
That's good. Have you ever been to a race?
I grew up with a racetrack right behind where I live, bro. It was like a local racetrack behind where I live. But no, I haven't been to any races in person. So I guess AJ will be taking me my first one.
Let's go. Whenever you want to go, we go.
This is a good one.
Although here's the thing about the street race, though. Like if you go to one of the speedways, you can watch them go all the way around. You know, you kind of can see them when they go in the street. You kind of lose them, and then all of a sudden they go by you, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, that thing is going really fast. And I don't know how they get them going. They go from like zero. What's the song? 0 to 100. I mean, they go 0 to 100 real fast, right? So
they do.
It's awesome though, and the noise and the speed and the power that these cars have is incredible.
Yeah, you got the whole deal out there. So you got the race, you got the music performances, and you've got FT. So AJ, Alana Rizzo, and Jason Kipnis on this Sunday, and we'll stream it on the Foul Territory YouTube channel at 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 o'clock Eastern Time. Again, don't miss out on the epic weekend. You can be there. Get your tickets at NASCARChicago.com. We'll be right back to talk about the Reds and the Yankees. Ellie De La Cruz likes playing in big markets, apparently. Here we go. Better than box scores. We'll hit both New York clubs here. There's actually some Mets fans that are like, you need to give a little more love to the Mets. We will, but we're going to start with the Yankees. And Ellie De La Cruz, who, remember, put on a show in Los Angeles and said he felt like essentially it was like home, and also that he played Grand Theft Auto all the time, so it was cool. But I guess he probably plays some type of video game in New York because he also put on a show. He had the triple, the homer. Reds win. They beat Heel. So first off with you, because you see a lot of Yanks. Yeah. What's up with Luis Gil?
He is. These last 3 starts, he's been all over the place, man. He's his control, and I think that's his biggest problem. He had his control with his fastball. He had great movement on it, but he was around the zone, and when he wasn't, he was getting that swing and miss. And not many people are swinging and missing anymore. I think he had 1 swing and miss yesterday out of all his fastballs, which was incredible. You don't see that too often, whether it was a foul ball or a ball put in play. They kind of get to this point sometimes, when they have a fantastic year. Next thing you know, you hit your lows, and people are like, oh, man, it's the end of the world. I just think it's ebbs and flows. The Yankees have big-time ebbs and flows during the season. The beginning of the year, you think about Aaron Judge, struggle. Everybody's like, oh, what's wrong with his swings? He's got 32 homers now and close to 90 RBIs. This guy is having an MVP year, and he's on pace to break some astronomical numbers. So you got to take the good with the bad with this team. I don't think it's too much to look into. I think it's probably going to last a little longer than we thought, just because this is the way their seasons usually go. The bottom of the lineup has to pick it up, and I think that's another big problem that they're having. Their struggle bus after Soto and Judge. What do they have next right now? Giancarlo Stanton's on the shelf, and he was having a good year. So it's a little bit of both things, but when the two come together, or when at least one starts picking up the other, then they'll get back on track.
Cam, I am worried about Gil's innings. I mean, I know it's the classic,
Yes.
He hasn't done it before. But, yeah, I agree with Todd. I think the Yanks will be okay. They'll bounce back as a team. But are they going to lose someone like Gil in terms of what we saw from the first 2.5 months?
Well, Todd is right, but you're absolutely right as well. He's already at a point where he's thrown more meaningful innings at this point that he's thrown in his career, right? Talking about the starters and the inning restrictions. For me, I'm just watching a guy who is completely gassed right now. And what we need to talk about, again, leadership. You have to put these guys in a position to have success. And right now, when you look at what the Yankees just did, they had a perfect opportunity to get Luis Gil an extra day of rest. They had an off day that would have been his start day. So they could have just had it be normal, go on to the next guy. You give him a chance to get some rest. Maybe you give him another day's rest his next start. You can think about it, but at least then hey, this guy is really throwing a lot of innings. This is a perfect opportunity to let him just get that start because his start day was on an off day. And I think they dropped the ball right there. I think they had to do a good job of, one, taking care of this guy mentally, but also physically. So when you talk about where he is, I think, and where the Yankees are, you think about the bullpen has been just atrocious. They have struggled mightily. I think you're looking at a point where you might want to think about shutting him down, letting him skip a start or two, allow him to get some rest going into the break, and then you bring him back as a bullpen guy because you need some bullpen help. So if Cash isn't going to go get help, not saying he isn't, but if they don't go get help as far as bolstering that bullpen, then that way at least you have a guy who now is somewhat still fresh, and he gives you an extra arm in the bullpen. So I think the Yankees dropped the ball on making sure they, do a good job of monitoring his innings and making sure he doesn't hit a wall.
So if you put him in the bullpen, who would you bring up? Poti, or what do you bring up? One of those guys, those young pitchers?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Until you can get somebody to hold the fort down, until you possibly can go get a start again. I keep throwing the name out there. A guy like Tyler Anderson wouldn't cost you a lot. You wouldn't have to give up a lot like you would for a Crochet or some of these guys that you're hearing about, Luzardo. So, again, I think you would, for me, and this is why I also say this is why it's so important to get off to a good start. So you have the opportunity to do, like you said, Todd, bring up one of those young guys, see if they can give you, a little bridge until you might can go get an arm back and get some guys healthy. I think that's what you do. But the bullpen, I think they missed, on a lot of those acquisitions that they were looking to help this offseason.
Yeah, and Judge is putting on a show, of course. He's got 32 homers. Just while we have a couple minutes before we talk to Paul Sewald, former Met, AJ, should we give more love to the Mets? Do you feel like we're talking about the Mets enough on FT on a daily basis? They won again. They're in extra innings is kind of when they decide to really open up the offense.
I feel like we talk about it all the time. I mean, I talk about Grimace like every day. So I don't know what else we can say. I mean, listen, Jose Iglesias has been unbelievable. I remember talking to him in spring training. He's like, I can't find a big league job. And this dude's carrying him. He's singing songs after wins. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff. I mean, he literally was like, I cannot find a big league job. And then he goes out and hits big homers, playing unbelievable defense for him. they figured it out, and they are in the middle of this playoff race. They're not going anywhere. And if there's one thing we know about the Mets, they're going to add if they can. And, they're going to make some moves, whether it's a starting pitcher, whether it's a bullpen guy, whatever it is, the Mets are going to do it. And I think they're in it. And I think, listen, it's great when big market teams are in these things.
Yeah, their bullpen is in shambles right now, too. I mean, you're also down a pitcher, and Diaz will come back, but they need multiple arms to be able to get through the rest of the season. Actually, starting pitching-wise, I mean, they've got some – I know Christian Scott, I think, is starting tonight, and they've got a little bit of depth there, probably more than most. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, at this point, this team's going to be buying. I know some people are still throwing out Pete's name, JD, and others. I'm like, yeah, they're not trading them at this point, if you look at where they're at in the National League. I mean, even if they kind of level out a little bit this month in the 500 range, still, I mean, they're going to be close enough distance-wise.
One game out of the wild card.
Yeah, they're not going to throw in the towel now. It's just not what they do. If they were, 5+ games back, different, but it's probably not going to be the case. All right, we're going to swing back with former Met, current Arizona Diamondbacks closer Paul Sewald, hitting us next on FT.
And so we've been talking about how the game has kind of not always looked to the older guy and given the older guys who have done awesome stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember how defeated you were because you were like, your exact quote was, what do I tell my kids if they play in the big leagues, like about the honesty and true like job opportunities if I hit 300 and I don't get a job offer the next year. You got no big league offers that next year and barely any minor league offers.
It's part of the game. If you have feelings in this game, it's the wrong industry. It was just something that the industry did not value at that time. Speed, defense, youth, athleticism was paramount. I went to Jose Batista's jersey retirement last year, and Cito Gaston, one of my favorite coaches, best hitting gurus of all time that I worked with. He's like, when you quit playing, did you like baseball? And I was like, no, I didn't. And he was like, that's normal. But I gave myself some time, and I came back, and I healed, and I recovered, and I saw how fun guys had when I was at that game, and I was like, it goes back to those feelings. I don't need to have feelings, man. The game continues to move on. I love the game. Give back to the game that gave me so much. And that's what's beautiful about the minor leagues. There's no business involved yet. Everyone's developing. Everyone's in the same boat, grinding, and it's just great to be back in the dugout on the field, having a uniform, wearing my jersey. I don't wear a hoodie. I don't wear the pullover. I wear my jersey every game, and I'm proud of that.
Richie Hebner was an elite hitter in the show, but his famous go-to story was he got fired from one of the big league teams. He got called. It was like one of those box phones. He's like, the guy called him. He's like, yeah, we're going to let you go. Now you're going to become a free agent. Turns back. This guy drove a hearse. Yeah. And he dug graves, and he turns back to the guy in the back of his seat. He goes, you think you're having a bad day.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Here we go with our baseballism combo. Our next guest on FT, it is Paul Sewald. Paul, great to have you on, dude. Appreciate the time. And I know that you would like this too, because you're another one. Actually, we're having some of the OG FT guests on today, like Rowdy Tellez was on with us earlier. FT is still where it's at, social, digital, podcast, wherever you get your pods, but also national television, Valley Sports, the app, Marquee, the whole deal. So we appreciate the thanks on the news there. And I know it's been cool for you to, kind of be a part of this too.
Yeah, it's been great. You guys have
the reason it's accelerated is because you guys have been fantastic, and I'm appreciative every time I get to come on and tell a little bit about my story. So thanks for having me on.
Dude, we always appreciate the honesty, obviously the transparency. So let's get the crap out of the way. The respect level of someone coming on right after, a tough night when you have a lot of great nights. Tell me how the last, 12 hours has been for you from the game to how you refresh yourself for the next day.
Well, I'd already promised to come on, so I didn't really have a choice. I'm just kidding. It's always better to come on these after I've been dominating. So it's just one of those things. It's the Dodgers are an incredible team and they have an incredible lineup, and I executed to start the inning and didn't execute to end the inning, and just a disappointing loss for us, and it was heartfelt in the clubhouse last night, and everyone knows that it sucks to be the closer sometimes when you do poorly, and just try to get back out there as quickly as I can and shut it down so we can get a winning streak going.
Are you a sleep on it, or are you I'm pissed and then as soon as I go to bed? Because I was like pissed and then I'd wake up the next day, I'm like, it's a new day. Or do you think about it? Do you grind over it at night? Because I would sit there when we would lose games and just be like, man, if I would have called a different pitch, or I would have done this, I would have done that. Are you which type are you? Because there's two different types of guys. People can wipe it right away, or sometimes it lingers.
Yeah, sometimes I have trouble going to sleep that night, but usually once I wake up the next morning, it's like, all right, I have a brand new outlook on life. It literally is a new day. The thing about being a closer is that you have just as good a chance to have the same opportunity tonight. So dwelling on it does me no good. I've done a lot better in the last few years of being able to try and turn that off and just understand that it should be a one-off thing, and I hope to execute the next time out. So then it just looks like just a speed bump that we went right over and got right back on a good streak. So sometimes I'll lose a little sleep at night, but once I wake up, it's just a brand new day, and we're gonna do everything we can to be ready to go today.
Speaking of other pitchers too, Jordan Montgomery, he came in a little late to the program, with the whole debacle of trying to get him signed. I know you're not a manager or a coach, but what do you think has been troubling him? I know he might be heading to the IL, if I'm not mistaken, too, as well. I know the injuries might hurt, but when he did pitch, it just seemed like there wasn't that instinct, that killer instinct pitch that he had. So I don't know. So from an outsider looking in, what do you think was going on with him?
Yeah, disappointed that we found out that he went on the IL yesterday. Hopefully, with the way the All-Star break is lining up, we can give him maybe 3 weeks and he can come right back and be his best self. You guys have had the experience of spring training. Even as a veteran, you think you don't need it, and it looks like you need it more than we thought that we needed it. So it's just kind of been a little bit of a struggle for him to kind of try and find his footing and make sure that he's his consistent self. He's put together 6.5 incredible years in the big leagues. Everyone knows that he's a consistent pitcher. I think, there's just a difference between throwing live BPs at your local high school and pitching in a spring training game to try and make sure that you're fine tuning everything. And so, might just be a little bit of a wake up call to all of us, as we look and we think, I don't really need spring training. Like, I know how to get my work in, I'll do PFPs, I'll do my workouts. It's just really difficult. So I think a lot of credit to him he's working every single day to try and find it. This isn't a lack of work or a lack of effort. It's, he's been grinding to try and figure out how to find his best self. So it hasn't been perfect so far in the first half. There's been plenty of glimpses that he's been back to his normal self. It's just the consistency hasn't been there. So we're looking forward to a big second half from him. And, we can look at getting him, Erod, and Merrill back. And, we're going to look like we made 3 huge deadline acquisitions. So just got to get everybody healthy and got to get them to their best self and get back out there.
Hey, Paul, you talk about consistency, and you've been, up until last night, nothing short of amazing, almost perfect. One, how much fun has it been for you as a veteran guy to still prove that you can get it done at a high level? And 2, what have you learned about yourself this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big year for me, and it's important to try and go out there and dominate and show what I can do. So it's been an amazing ride. You guys know you can't get too high, can't get too low. Just like I won't dwell on last night. I don't overly celebrate long stretches like that. So just try to take it series by series and try to dominate every time I go out there. But it's been a really good year, and just kind of showing that I haven't nearly had my best stuff and it's still pitched really well, I think has been the best sign of everything. There's a couple of things we've been looking at, and I've been lacking in a few areas and still still seeming to get people out. So we know once we get to my best self, I'm really going to take off here in the second half. So I think more than anything, it just shows that my command has been really good. I've been throwing a ton of strikes, and at the end of the day, the more strikes you throw, the better you can be. So even without my best stuff, I've been throwing more strikes, and I think that's the most important recipe to how I've been having success so far.
Paul, I got to ask. I know we're over last night, but I got to ask you two questions. One, I'm going to say this, and I mean it all joking. Did Montgomery get hurt when he chucked the pitch com?
That was not great. No, he did not get injured on the pitch.
Okay.
Bro. He got He
that was great.
It in his bullpen, unfortunately, and that was disappointing. But yeah, the pitch com thing was a little I seem to have a lot more struggles with my pitch com working than anybody else for whatever reason. I guess they stopped working for me in the ninth inning, so I was inside still doing my workout before I went in, and I was like, well, maybe that's why it never works. Is because guys just throw it against the wall as hard as they can, and then they give it to me for the ninth inning. So we're gonna get some new pitch comms, and hopefully they're gonna work. But I was, everyone's had a good tantrum once or twice, and that was pretty good. And it was disappointing they caught it right on TV.
Yeah, of course. All right, so then back to last night. I know you gave up the double to Will Smith and then the hit to Freddie. Was there any thought to walking Freddie to get to Teoscar? And who makes that decision? Is that a you decision? Is that a Torrey decision? Is that a group decision? Because, on paper, you'd be like, okay, righty on righty. I have a really nasty slider. Freddie's pretty good. I mean, I know Teoscar's pretty good, but who makes that decision? And do you think about that again? Sorry, I hate to bring up last night.
Yeah, no, I don't think about that at all, right? I have everyone in line. I am ready to face Freddie Freeman. If we intentionally walk him, then I don't face him and I go to Teo. So that's from Torrey, and that's the brain trust that is in the dugout and upstairs trying to figure out what has the best matchup. So that doesn't come from me. I was asked a question yesterday after the game from the media, and they asked him why they didn't intentionally walk Freddie, and his answer was that he trusted me against him, and I really appreciate that. And at this point, it kind of looks like, oh yeah, of course, why didn't we just walk him? But I never crossed my mind. Will hits that ball off the wall. I'm thankful it doesn't go for a homer, and I just go right to, okay, what are we going to do against Freddie Freeman? So never occurred to me to walk anybody. I never want to walk anybody intentionally, unintentionally. So I appreciate that he let me go after him. It just, got ahead and didn't make a good enough pitch, and he's just incredible. The only times I've gotten him out have been on terrible pitches, and the times he gets hits are on pretty good pitches. So probably should have just thrown it down the middle and see if he could hit it right at somebody.
In a day and age where closers are throwing 98 plus now, right? So you're throwing 94 to 92 to 94 sometimes, and I want you. I'm not trying to ding you at all. I'm just trying to explain to you, how are you doing this, throwing a fastball that's not nearly near 100 miles an hour? Explain to the kids out there that are watching, you could still do this and be an elite closer. That's basically my question. How are you doing it and getting these guys out, and we're 11-11 with saves, and when you're not throwing 100 miles an hour?
Yeah, it's all about deception. So, you're looking for stuff, or you're looking for deception or movement or something like that. Big velo is always great, but these guys see big velo every single day. Big velocity alone is not enough to get major league hitters out. They see enough of it that they can get their foot down and they can hit balls. So you need to have some sort of variance away from just a perfect average pitch. So for what I do is I just throw a ball that they quote unquote says to rise. Obviously a ball doesn't rise, but I try to get a ball that looks as flat as it possibly gets. So I'm very low to the ground, and I try to throw the ball up in the zone, and I step across my body. So it looks like, a ball coming from the sprinklers towards the shortstop area. So that's how it works for me. That was something that I found in Seattle worked really well. We were trying to figure out, I had been inconsistent in New York and trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do? They recommended throwing the ball up in the zone, which I had never tried before. And we found a recipe that, in this day and age when most hitters are trying to work on their launch angle, that throwing the ball up in the zone with a flat fastball is really effective. So yeah, it'd be nice if I threw 98. I think I'd really enjoy pitching if I was throwing 98. With my movement, but it's just one of those things that I don't have, and so I had to try and figure out what do I do really well, and I throw one of the flattest fastballs in baseball. So I get a lot of strikeouts, and people kind of look at the scoreboard and says 91 or 92, and they kind of shake their head like they can't figure it out. So that's one of my favorite things. You know, when they strike out against pure stuff, they're like, yeah, that was just beer. That was just better stuff. When they strike out against me, it's kind of, they just kind of are like, this just doesn't make any sense. It catches them off guard. So that's one of my favorite things, just blowing a fastball right down the middle at 92 and guys just can't figure it out.
I love it. It's an inspirational story, too, for relievers that are trying to figure things out. And AJ and me have joked around about the term that's used nowadays. It's not just flat fastball. What is it, AJ? What's the term? Hey, Paul probably knows it.
The dead zone fastball. It used to be the dead zone. You don't throw it in the dead zone, right? So, but my favorite thing now is Todd and Cam will tell you this. Like, you'd be like, oh, this dude's so flat. And you'd be like, everyone's like, oh, he's flat. I'm going to kill this guy. Right now, now dudes are talking about, man, I want my fastball to be flat. It used to be like, man, I want my ball to do this and do this. Now it's like, man, I want it to stay as straight as an arrow.
Yeah, it comes from it was an adjustment from people working on their launch angle, right? This game is just a constant adjustment of like, all right, the hitters are doing this, so that I need to do this as a pitcher. Every pitcher in the league is doing this, so I need to do this as a hitter. So I'm trying to pitch as well as I can and make as much money as I can until people realize, hey, we should start trying to like hit line drives and hit hard ground balls, because once they do that, my rising fastball is not going to go very far. So it's just a reaction to people looking for launch angle, and you know, I found something that works really well in this day and age, and I'm trying to stick to it. So it's just, yeah, it's different. Age, you guys weren't necessarily looking to hit homers. At some point, it was trying to fight with two strikes. People who fight with two strikes are some of my worst adversaries. Is that I just need you to strike out or pop up in the first couple pitches. Otherwise I run out of, you know, ideas essentially.
Hey, I love that you touched on that. We need to make sure that we repost and replay that over and over for the hitters coming up in the nowadays game who are chasing launch angle. Let's become a complete hitter. But with that said, Paul, and I know you're probably going to – I kind of can assume what you're going to say. Do you think it's easier to pitch in today's game with the holes in guys' swings nowadays?
I think there's a bigger margin for error, though. Like you can be very, very successful, but you can also give up a ton of damage. That's what every hitter's looking for, right? There's no punishment in striking out. There's a huge reward for putting up power numbers. That's where you have this big change, is that, you know, they're not punished for striking out, so they'll strike out 5 out of 10 times. But if they have damage on 2 of the 10 for homers, and they're 200, 210 hitter, but they hit for power and they walk occasionally, you're going to get a huge OPS plus, and you're going to be one of those guys that gets paid. So there's just this crossroads of they're not punished for that stuff because they, you know, the reward of walking and hitting homers is so much worth the strikeout. So it's just a situation where the damage is probably bigger now than it's ever been, but the ability to try and get somebody out has probably never been easier, right? We're looking at the lowest batting averages we've ever seen, but the power numbers can be incredible. So I don't know if necessarily it's easiest time to pitch, but I think it's probably the easiest time to get somebody out. When you don't get them out, though, we're looking at backing up bases is probably the problem.
All right, Paul, I'm going to take a turn here. We're going to do a few fun baseballism quick hitter questions. So I don't think we've done these with you. So let's put you on the hot seat. Okay. So number one random thing from your career that you have kept.
I think probably the coolest thing that I have, Ichi has his wine. He's a big wine guy, and when we went to the postseason in 22, he gave everyone a vintage bottle of wine and signed it. So that's probably my most special thing that I have for my career.
That's awesome. I like that one a lot. Okay, coolest person that you met through baseball, non-baseball person, if there's anyone you can throw out there, like a celebrity or an athlete or anybody like that.
Ooh. Oh, man.
Doesn't even have to be on the field, just like in general. If anyone ever set you up with someone to meet and say hi to, or a baseball fan but not a baseball player.
Man, I think meeting Michael Phelps last year during the World Series was probably one of the coolest things I've ever. I mean, the greatest Olympian ever is pretty special.
Yeah, that qualifies. That hits. Okay, and then lastly, this one's probably interesting for you because you've asked it to a bunch of players. A city that you've been to that you thought would be cool to have a baseball team. I don't know if we're allowed to use Vegas since you're from there, but you can take this wherever you want to go. And they're technically, at least right now, supposed to get a team. So your thoughts?
We don't want a team in Vegas. Let's see. I think Nashville would probably be really close to the top of that list, or Charlotte. I really liked playing in Charlotte when I was in AAA. I think it's a great city. So I'd say probably Nashville or Charlotte, I think would be our best options.
Hey, you don't want to play in the Charlotte ballpark now. It's a bandbox. You'd be giving up homers left and right. Talk about damage.
But I
That place-
said
No,
Charlotte.
we need
he can back
we
it
need
up,
to fix
AJ.
that stadium a little bit. We'd probably need
Yeah.
either a new stadium or move the fences back. But the downtown area, I think, was pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So Paul, I'm in Phoenix right now. It's 100. Last night I got here at 8:00 last night. It was 115 in my car. How the hell do y'all live here? Like I live in Florida and it's 100, but I walked outside. My son and I, we looked at each other and we're like, "This is a different kind of hot." Like, how the hell y'all live here?
Yeah, it's steaming. You spend a lot of time inside. My daughters and I, we swim a lot and we go to the splash pad. Like that's what we do, right? We just try to stay cool, staying inside and making sure that we are in the water. Pretty much, it's it's 3 months of the year that are pretty miserable to live there if you're trying to be outside. But the other 9 are pretty fantastic. So I think it's a decent trade off, especially when you get to spring training and you don't have to leave and you're like, hey, this is pretty nice. I'll just stay right here.
Yeah, that's well said. 3 months out of 12, you have to deal with it a little bit, but otherwise you're in good shape.
How do you play Little League? How do the kids play outside?
That's true.
It's
That
either
is actually
early
a good
morning or
question.
late at night. I don't know.
I mean, I grew up in Las Vegas. It's not quite as hot as it is in Phoenix. You kind of get used to just playing in the heat and you just make sure you have cold towels. You make sure you have water and, Age, you're from Florida. I mean, I die in the humidity. We went to
that don't bother me. The humidity
last week. I about melted out there. So the humidity gets me harder anyway. So yeah, it's you just make sure you're drinking a lot of water. And kids don't even think about stuff like that. Only us adults think about oh, it's really hot. As a kid, you're just like, I just want to be outside no matter what.
Yeah, adults complain a lot. I mean, that's what we do on this show all the time. We're really good at it.
Well,
Thanks to Baseballism, the official lifestyle brand of baseball, for those questions. And lastly, I just want to get to this as well, because a few people have asked about it. We actually spoke about it before in our production meeting this morning. Any updates on charity situation? Obviously you had a lot going on in Seattle, and then you move around here to Arizona. Can you give us the update?
Yeah, so we've been doing with Child Crisis Arizona. They're a fantastic organization. The Sewald Strikeouts for Kids is up and running. 2 more strikeouts last night, so we're helping kids out, and it's just been an amazing situation. They've been incredible. The D-backs have been amazing, helping facilitate everything, get everything going. So the next step is to try and get a drive going at Chase Field, so we can try and get a lot of these products that these kids need, and we are in the works of that. So I can't. Hopefully next time when I come on, we'll have a bunch of details and I can give everybody details for that. But that's what we're into right now, trying to make sure that we get a drive and we get these kids everything they need. We're talking about, basic hygiene products that, we all take for granted. That of course I have deodorant, of course I have body wash. So just important stuff like that. So we're going to try and get that going and try and get a drive at Chase Field. But right now we're just trying to strike as many people out as possible and raise as much money as we can.
That's awesome. All right. So
wait, is that you? Can we show that picture?
What?
Is that him in the picture? Because that it doesn't look like how he pitches. I'm assuming
that's me. That's me from a spring training game right there. So that's
Wow.
been like the third base camera well.
Because it almost looks like a lefty the way it's how they do the silhouettes. If it's a lefty or righty, it almost looks like I don't know.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
you're looking at it.
Base.
It's one of those. Yeah.
It's third base for a right-hander, not third base for a left-hander's back.
Got it. Okay. All right.
I see what you did.
I saw the picture. Promise.
No, I saw it. I saw it.
you.
Once AJ explained it, I started seeing his way of looking at it. It's like one of those paintings where you see different things coming out of it. But anyway, it makes it even more appealing. But Paul, appreciate the update, and thanks for the fans in the chat for calling that out too. That's really cool. Good to talk to you, and we'll get you again in a few weeks. All right.
Awesome. We'll see you guys soon. Love you being on TV. It's pretty cool, guys.
Thank you. Really appreciate that. Paul Sewald with us, closer of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Yes, on national television, where we'll swing right back on and talk about Shohei Ohtani bowing out of the home run derby. Legit excuse or not?
What's your most prized piece of memorabilia? I see a lot of baseballs behind you. Obviously, Kratz has the bats and the balls and the photos. What's the one thing, AJ, that if you had to pick one thing out of your collection that means the most to you, what is it?
I mean, I think Kratz would agree. It starts with the World Series ring. That's it. I mean, that's the one thing that no matter what happens in this game, they can never take it away from you. And then, you know, you can see the mask over this shoulder right here from a perfect game. That's probably a close second.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about you, Kratz?
It's got to be like the team autograph stuff for me. Outside of the rings were, you know, even we joke about it, but even second place rings are cool because you know what went into winning those, and that's where you're like the relationships that you have. But a lot of my like team signed stuff, like I have a team signed chest protector from the first Team USA that I played on. You know, I have a bat from the 18 team that I played with the Brewers. You know, team signed stuff. My teammates, like all these bats back here, are teammates that sign stuff for me. So I have a huge box of bats that can't be displayed.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I'm speaking obviously just from a reporter's perspective.
This is a part of the show where I always point out that AJ didn't play winter ball. And Donovan Solano, while I never played in Colombia, this happens on the regular in San Francisco. The Gigantes, like, lights go out all the time. The year I played there, before I got there end of October-ish, and I played November and part of December through the Dominican Winter League. They said the lights went out when they went to San Francisco, and the left fielder was gone. Now, early in the season, it's guys that are like lower level guys, AA guys, maybe some high A prospect guys. Left fielder was out there in left field. Lights came back on. They were off for a little bit. Lights came back on. They brought in a new left fielder. Now, I don't know if they were joking with the guys or what, but the power went out, and so did the Weiss. It was a crazy story. And sure enough, they were telling me this story, and sure enough, first game there, lights go out.
Hey, people, we're back on FT. Let's talk about the home run derby for a few. Shohei Ohtani, not in. He had interest in participating. This is from Jack Harris, who covers the team. And per Dave Roberts, recognized fans would want him in it and to watch him in it. But given his rehab, he and the team decided it was not worth the risk. I will actually counter part of this tweet by saying many Dodger fans did not want him to participate in the home run derby because it seems to be one of those events that some fans get scared about. It's like, oh, I love it. I want to watch it. Just not my guy, especially a guy who's recovering from arm injury and all that kind of crap. You know, obviously I want to see Shohei in there, but I think some Dodger fans were like, no, because you know how it is. I mean, you were in it, Todd. If anything happens, you get blamed.
Oh my God, 100%. I did it 3 times. I would never change it for the world. But yeah, I think this new format, which I think we'll get into, Scott.
Yeah. Well, you want to cue it up then? You want to do a little visit to the office?
To our
Let's
circle
do it
here. Let's go.
Yeah.
I love that little sequence. It's
nice little quick visit.
We gotta get Cam on that thing. Yeah, I think. Listen, it's not for everybody. It's a different format. Scott, we're going to talk about it. 3-minute rounds. You get 40 pitches. Now I'm going to stop there at the first thing. I think I had, in the first time they ever did it in 2015.
With the timer,
I think I had 39 pitches every round on the dot. So my brother and I, we didn't plan it that way, but I think that's around a good amount of pitches. Do I think they'll get that? Some guys will, some guys won't. You know, you think of Rosarena, man. I think he had 59 in one round.
So that's what they're trying to curve.
That's what they're trying to curve. And I think as a fan too, I think you want to see where the ball lands. And I think we're getting away from that the last couple of years because of how fast it was going. That's my perspective if I'm watching. I want to see on TV where the ball lands, and then I want to see the guy throw again. So you want to go over it, and then we can talk more
Yeah,
about it?
and that's a good point. I agree. I remember, I mean, AJ, you were standing next to me too, right? Remember last year we were at the Derby watching in person, and it was so fast. It was like hard to kind of keep up with anything for me. It kind of got to that point. Don't you feel that way? Where it was like the attention span was so difficult. I'm like, yeah, I need like a little bit more structure. I know it's a fast world, but did you feel that way? And then I'll keep going.
No, here's what I thought. I thought the ball wouldn't even land, right? They'd be like whack, and you're looking up, and then all of a sudden you're whack, and you're like, whoa! Now I'm trying to follow 2 balls, and sometimes they hit it high enough there'd be 3 balls in the air, and it's hard to it was just hard to keep up with it, especially live. And I thought sometimes they would lose count of how many balls actually went out of the park, because there was times where they'd be like, oh, he has that 15. Oh, wait, no, he's actually at 17 because we missed 2 that went out, because it's like whack, whack, rapid fire, right? So I'm all for maybe slowing it down somehow, but not as slow as it used to be, because it used to take forever.
Yeah, this is trying to balance that, Cam. I almost thought of multi-ball if you're playing pinball. If you have like, you're managing 3 pinballs at a time and you're just like, what? And so if you're a fan watching that, it just kind of drowns itself out. So this will hopefully tighten it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with Todd. I think we're in a day and age where we want the game of baseball to be sped up so much that we're losing the sight of enjoying it, right? Taking a step back and enjoying these guys' ability to hit a ball as far as they do. And like Todd said, as a fan, I remember one in particular. I think it was Vladimir Guerrero Sr. in San Francisco, and he hit one in the Coke bottle. If you're going too fast, you don't get to take those moments in. Those are special moments when you can see a guy like Stanton's power on display. You want to take a moment to see that. And for me, I do like what they're doing, trying to cut down the amount of swings, because you do want to keep guys healthy. Me personally, I think it still is kind of long and drug out, just to be honest. I like the good old, like, you got 10 outs and let's see what you can do in 10 outs. Like, I don't know if that was too long. That's what AJ was talking about, but I feel like it creates a little bit more room for error, a little less room for error, and I think it'll keep these guys healthy as well.
Todd, I got to ask you. So you did this 3 times. Like, how tired were you? Because everyone's like, oh, he's so tired. And then if dude goes off, right, in the home run derby, and then they're like, oh, he had a bad second half. It's because he was tired from 3 days ago where he took 50 extra swings, right?
I was exhausted.
Then you get a guy like Soto who gets better, but who gets better, right? But okay, so I get you're exhausted, but then you have the game day, and then you have 2 more off days usually after that. So you really have 3 days to recover. Why do people say, like, man, I'm so tired? Now, I never did this on this level, but, like, I just don't understand why people are like, God, they're exhausted. It's like 50 more swings if you lose in the first round.
Yeah, it was the speed of it. It was the energy. It was I was the ambassador of the whole thing. So, there goes my earpiece. But it was everything. I was up at 5:30 every morning trying to be Mr. Cincinnati. I was signing autographs. We were on the parades. I mean, you've been part of it, but it was just nonstop. I had 3 bottles of a Pedialyte I went through. We got on after the All-Star. When the All-Star game came, I didn't fall asleep until 4 a.m. We had the parties afterwards. And I just never caught up. It was I don't know. I can't really explain it. You think after like 5 or 6 days you catch up. Then we had to go on the road. And I've never told the manager this, but that Sunday, the 3rd game we had a day game. I went to Brian Price. I said, dude, I think I need a day off. I am absolutely drained. So I got the day off, and I never caught up from that point on. I would never blame my swing, because my swing is going to be my swing. People always like, oh, your swing's bad. No, I could just never catch up. It was the weirdest thing, and it's hard to explain.
So, I want to ask you that. I want to ask Todd that, because, I was one thing I wondered playing. So would you say that there is I know each guy's different, but would you say there is some type of effect that it has on your swing, coming off that break, right? Doing all that stuff and a swing and approach, it can affect that, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree it can affect it, but I also agree that we're all professionals, and you get back in that batting cage and you go over film and take some early batting practice to kind of eliminate that launch that you were doing. I think you'll be right back to where you need to be. So the people to blame, oh, my swing's all messed up. Well, I mean, get in the cage a little more. Focus on, what you've been doing well. You're going to struggle. What happens when you're struggling? You're 0 for 15, 0 for 20. What do? Well, you get back in the cage and you work on some things and you get back to where you need to be. So I just think when your swing is bad, you go back to what, got you there, get some feel-good videos and improve that way. But I would never blame my swing at all. I just couldn't get back to mindset, and I don't know. It just wasn't there the 1 year, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Okay. Lastly, let's get to the rest of the rules and competition here that is being changed. So real quick, you cool with the change from the head-to-head in the first round to the 8 all going at it, top 4. AJ and me were going back and forth on this one because there's pros and cons. It is cool, I agree, to have the head-to-head, but then you also have those situations, of course, where you're facing someone who does nothing, and then you can just kind of mail it in, and then the guys get to the next round. It almost felt like a little bit of a competition tweak, where you might get the right guy in the first round, and then you can just, I got to 12. This dude only did 11.
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready. Next round.
Yeah.
While this dude here is in double overtime hitting 48.
Do you want to hit first or would you want to hit last? I think I would want to hit like second to last or last because
of the 8.
Of the 8, just because of the fact I know how many homers I need to hit.
Right.
So this time, I think I'd rather hit last. And I think that's going to play in it. Are they going to flip a coin? Are they going to pick out of a hat? Like how
they should seed it. I mean, the way they would seed it in the past was by how many homers you have.
Sure.
So they should probably do that.
But there's going to be guys that are going to be up there that might not have 15 homers because other guys don't want to do it. So, you know what I mean?
Saying, yeah. I mean, that have 15 on the year.
Yes.
Well, then, if you have 15 and you're the least of the bunch, you go first if you want.
The first guy gets to decide whether he wants to go first or last. That's what I mean. Do you pick it out of a hat?
True.
Do you flip a coin?
Yeah, I think we got that.
That's I think the toughest call.
Yes, that part. And then
if you ain't first or last.
Well, that's for you down south. I'm not worried about that.
That's for us on Sunday in NASCAR.
That's
there
right.
You go.
Well, okay. So the other part is you still do get the out component as well, right? After the pitches or the clock expires, you get 3 bonus outs. So that does mean you can just keep bopping homers. So you can get through the minute and the few minutes or the 40 pitches and then be like, damn, I'm going 8th. I still need 5 more homers. You can see that and you can make sure you hit that mark.
It also puts pressure on you too as well.
It does.
So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Good luck.
I like that part. It's just like Cam said, it is a good point too. Like it's going to be long. It's going to be a lot.
I like how, go ahead.
I just want to make sure also, like for the casual fan, it can get confusing too. So obviously you just have to keep explaining what's going on, but there are a lot of quirks here. So you just have to keep explaining to the casuals, and even in the ballpark, I think it gets lost sometimes too. You're in the ballpark. Yeah.
Wait, when are they doing the skills competition? That's what I want to see. Is that at the Futures game?
Yes, that's in the Futures game, not for the major.
Can we get a big league skills competition like back in the day where like we got races, we got catchers throwing, like that stuff? Like that's what I want to see.
I'm all about it. I think this is a test with the Futures games.
And the only guy that's in the home run derby right now is Gunnar Henderson. So we will see who wants to be in at the finals.
Yeah, come on. Let's go. Let's get some big boys. Hey.
Sorry,
keep it going. Excited. Keep it going. That's did you catch that? Did you catch any of that, Cam? That little Todd.
I've seen him doing that. I seen him doing that Jersey shake, that Lake Charles.
Yeah.
Jersey shizzle.
All right, so we got 2 minutes here. We'll get a quick thought on Kyle Schwarber. There's video of him with the rookie making his debut, Mercado, pitching well against the Cubbies, and then watch this little move. High five. The what's it called with the homer? Sorry, AJ, with the when football. I always forget it. We've talked about it a few times. When you push the guy in at the goal line.
The Bush or not the Bush push, the Hurts thing.
Tush push.
Tush push.
Tush push.
Tush push. Yeah. So it was like a little tush push to the front of the line. Is this cool? You guys like this?
Love it. He deserves it. Get him up there so everybody can see his face first.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. That's why Schwarber is a guy that all his teammates love. He's what you call a glue guy. You need guys like that keep teams together, keeps the locker room together, makes the young guys feel just as important as the guys that have been around. He's the epitome of there's no Stafford character. He really is.
Yeah. I like that. I was listening to actually Northside Territory had a great episode. They do crossover episodes sometimes. That's our Cub show. And they did a crossover episode with Matt Gelb from the Phillies because they're playing the Phillies right now, of course, right? And the Kyle Schwarber component was really interesting. Gelb said that was the key. They've nailed a lot of their signings, the Phillies, but he said it was a total culture change with Schwarber. And they ripped that away from the Cubs. The Cubs at the time blamed, like COVID losses of money or blah, 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 whatever. But you get to see the difference of where the Cubs are and where the Phillies are right now, and it's a huge difference between those two teams. So it's a really good episode. I recommend it if you want to check it out. All right. Jonny Gomes is going to join us soon. Damon's a neighbor of mine, actually.
Wow.
Neighbor of AJ and me. He's an Orlando buddy.
Do you guys have dinner?
I have not been invited to a Jonny Damon dinner. I'm sure AJ's done a few of those.
AJ,
I will say this. I can keep up on a Jonny Damon dinner in case that's a problem, you know.
What do you mean you could keep up?
I'm sure it's a good time.
It's a good time, all right. It's
that's
4 a.m. It's a 4 a.m.
Yeah.
karaoke. You're singing karaoke till 4 a.m. time.
4 a.m. That's my middle name. All right, we're coming right back on FT on Valley Sports and Marquee and the whole deal with Jonny Gomes. Not Damon. Such an epic intro. It's Data Dish powered by Magnus. Always an epic outfit too. Every single time he outshines Kratz.
I can't
this time it's about the fit. It's good.
We got
to
speed this up. I got a huge birthday to go to.
Okay, so we'll keep it snappy.
America's birthday.
Oh, baby.
Wait, that's tomorrow. Johnny.
Pre-gaming.
This is an absolute banger crew right here, by the way. All teammates right here of John Gomes for sure. There's some stories that can be told.
Do you have anything you'd like to throw out there? I think this is your first segment with Cam on this show, right?
And me.
And you haven't been on with Johnny yet?
I haven't yet.
Todd's came a long way from his first at bat in Philly when he chucked the bat to his boys, right? And then he ended up in the home run derby. You talk about totally redeeming yourself.
Thank you.
And then Cam's an absolute dog, right? He's a wolf. He's awesome.
He was talking about my first ever swing in the major leagues. I swung in the bat ever. Well, first off, my first ever swing in batting practice, I swung and missed in Philly. And Spire was laughing at me for like 5 minutes, and he wouldn't throw a pitch. And then first ever pitch, I swung, and the bat slipped out of my hand. I put it like 10 rows down the third baseline. I tell you, I was like, oh, God. Scott Rowland was laughing. It was tough to get Scott to laugh at people. He was dying in the dugout. I'm like, this is just great.
You could have killed someone first AB of your life. That's good.
And then I got sent down the next day. Johnny, remember that?
Yeah.
I got sent down the next day. It was terrible.
He had the whole Jersey Shore out there and everything, just pumping. They got a good 24 hours of their boy in the show. But they're on for a good ride.
Where are you getting all these America outfits from? I saw the one you wore when you went to see the president. There's a company, or are you just making them yourself?
Yeah, I'm just all over the board, man. I think red, white, blue is pretty cool, and I represent.
I like it. All right, so
are the Bananas playing? Are the Bananas playing on the 4th? Because I'm sure they would have some fire unis.
They would, right? The Bananas and the party animals. Yeah, they'd be rocking and rolling for sure.
Hey, Johnny, before we get into these reports, question topic of the day, actually super relevant with all your teammates here. How would you define being a good teammate at each level? The youth level, the whatever, college, high school-ish kind of level, pro level, major league level. Like, what are some of the things to think about for the kiddos in terms of saying to themselves, am I a good teammate?
Yeah, man, I think paying attention to details, being accountable, and doing what you preach. And you know what? There's a lot of different leaders, right? There's lead by example. There's, the verbal leader. There's the off the field leader. There's a lot of different types of leaders. I've played with them all. Scott Rowland's name just came up. Scott Rowland would never call a team meeting, would never be powwow, but you should do exactly what he did from batting practice on. He was a follow by example guy. So there's quite a bit different leaders, but just being accountable and doing what you preach are two things to start with for sure.
Hey, let me say this real quick. First off, I want to say, if I haven't told you before, I appreciate the teammate that you were. I tell people all the time, Jonny Gomes, and it's easy answer for me. He was the best teammate I've ever had. Playing on the team that lost 80, 90 games, you set an example of, for one, playing the game with passion, with gratitude. I think that really rubbed off on me. One thing that Johnny would say, I go to Johnny and ask him, are you taking early BP? He'd go, you firefighters fight fires? Huh? Does the captain get outside? So just those little things, he never took a day for granted. So, he talks about accountability, talks about all that stuff. But, I think the biggest thing that you taught me is never taking a moment for granted. And I think when you show up like that and you have that mindset, it rubs off on guys around you. So I appreciate you being that type of guy. It really, it's made me a better coach, even coaching now.
Yeah, well, I do appreciate those kind words, and you were fun to watch, and you were real easy to light a fire under because you love the game just like anyone else, man. You're at the top notch, and it was fun to watch you out there.
Johnny, first of all, are you in Arizona?
I am in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we got about 1:15 today, buddy. Desert living.
Oh, I'm here. I'm at the. I'm not gonna tell you where I'm at, but I'm right next to you. I'm in a nice hotel right next to you. But are you going to Chase today?
I'm not going today. No. Yeah. Are you heading over there?
I'll be over there the next 3 days, so make sure you come by and say hello. Okay.
I think I'm gonna go tomorrow and the 5th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's make sure we.
Yeah, let's hook up.
Let's make sure we say hello. And then second of all, who you got for reports today? Because, I want to see some cool reports. PG Nationals going on here in Arizona. Yeah. So you guys got to be loading up on the data right now.
Yeah, so this is what I got, man. I mean, if we can throw up like this Jackson Rose guy, right? So this is what it's all about, man, with data, is to be able to find like a diamond in the rough, right? So, I mean, we instantly go to velocity and then you go to ERA, right? There's so much more on the pitching side that gets hidden without, ball tracking data, like Yakkertech right here. You go down to the bottom right where it says minus 17.2 inches on his changeup. That alone should get this kid committed, right? I mean, he's only at an 8-mile-an-hour difference in his fastball and changeup, but if he can get a little bit more velo or a little less velo on his changeup, he's running that thing. That ball's moving 17.5 inches. Jackson Rose, uncommitted. Probably not once this report gets out, and that's what I love about what I do with Yakkertech and Magnus.
That's incredible, because you think back in the day, like they didn't have these kind of things at all. And you see 17.5 inches of break. And you're right. And I think as a pitcher, if he was to lay off, make that like 76, 77, I mean, how many more inches? We all need inches. You know what I mean? So for a nice changeup, he might get it to like 22, 24. I'm talking about his fastball. And
changeup. I know.
So you know what I mean, Johnny?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I mean, I don't care how you digest the data once you have this player, whatever, but what I really enjoy is getting these kids the opportunity to continue to play. And this plays right here, 17.5 inches of movement. I mean, I don't know who doesn't want that in a D1 program right there. So Jackson Rose, go ahead and fire this report out. I mean, this is way better than your standard YouTube video. This is way better than anything you can do, is just getting this report out. We'll help him. He'll get out there. Uncommitted right now, but stay tuned.
I love that. Okay, one more for you. Eamon Chandler. Let's cue up that report as well for young Eamon.
Virginia Tech commit, right? And I mean, so he's good. He's going. But what I look about, with this spray chart is he loves that oppo gap, right? For a young guy to be able to go to the opposite field early to limit that shift Once you can go over there, then we can create and going over to the pull side. But the whole camp, the whole day, he had no whiffs and no chases, right? Like that has to get celebrated. Every time that bat came off his shoulder, he made contact. Now, it's not always 0-0. Anytime that ball was out of the zone, he didn't chase. So he went the whole day with no whiffs, and he went the whole day with no chases. And then you see his distance and his launch angle, his exit velocity. But what stands out to me in this kid right here is he can control the zone, and he's got really, really good bat-to-ball skills.
See that, Top Father?
Yeah, I wish I'd learned that earlier.
You want that report?
Oh, I would love that report.
But I know Todd's getting to see some of this for the first time. So you can check out more information at cmagnus.com with Yacker Tech, Baseball Cloud, Softball Cloud as well. So if you have this kind of information, because I know you're deep in the youth scene right now,
yes,
you can do a lot with it even as a coach.
Yeah,
right? Because you can't watch everybody's every single swing and all that. And kids come up to you and they're like, hey, what do I do?
Yeah, and I also think this is more impactful for a kid just because they see the videos all the time. Like, oh, yeah, well, I had some break. But no, actually, dude, let me be specific and explain to you how much depth that ball went. And that can entice a kid. That can excite him. Be like, dude, I want to actually perfect this pitch now since it's good. But now you want it to be great. Let's either tinker with it, make you go faster, start it at a different angle. You don't need to see everything on TV to be a really good athlete. And I think this is
you
really
bump into a lot, too, with these young kids. We had a report last week where this guy threw about 65, 70 pitches, and he threw one changeup. And it was the filthiest pitch he threw. But for whatever reason, he doesn't like it. Maybe this is like a, high gas pedal guy, likes everything fast, go, go, go. But his changeup was his best pitch, and he only threw one of them. And therefore, so let's tick up that changeup a little bit, tick down that curveball, and now you're getting your percentages of 25, 25, 25. You're really going to have the hitter off balance.
Real quick at the end here, because we got a question from many questions, but I'll get to this one just because I know it's a quick answer. Matt asked in the chat, he's like, why are Jonny and AJ meeting up at Chase Field? He's like, the Diamondbacks aren't playing. Would you like to explain, AJ, what's going on?
Or Jonny, there's this thing called PG National, Perfect Game National Showcase. So basically they bring in, I don't know how many, 200 to the 250 or so, the best players in the country. And you do a showcase basically, and then you get to play 2 games, I think, on Chase Field. So you get to come in, do a full showcase, get to play 2 games against what are supposed to be the best kids in the country. And I'm fortunate enough, my son got to come, and he has 2 of his teammates that are also here from high school. So it's a pretty cool experience. They get to play on a big league field in front of, scouts and everybody, and then they get this data dropped in the middle of them. So it's a great experience.
Yeah, this is the top gun of high school kids for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Well, Jonny, appreciate the time.
Young Todd Frazier's out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybin's out there coming.
Watch out, baby.
You point them out for us, and then we'll be able to bring them up in the next Data Dish seg. So, Jonny, enjoy the birthday party, okay?
Yeah, we got a big one.
Yep, enjoy it. It's the biggest one.
47 if you guys are counting, but no big deal. Just patriotic guy over here.
And I'm going to use that. It's good trivia for me for tomorrow.
Yep.
Thank you, Jonny.
You guys rock. Good job. Thank you.
You too. Thank you. We'll be right back.
What's the most expensive dinner that you ever spotted, AJ?
Oh, so we used to do a thing in Chicago, okay? And this, I don't even know if this has ever been put out there before, but we used to do a thing, and I don't know how it started. It started as a thing with Jim Thome, where you had to go, if you did something, I don't know what it was, but you had to go and buy $100 gift card for every guy on the team.
Ooh.
Okay? Yeah, so and that included like coaches, so it cost you like $4,000 to $5,000, and it was like so it was like $100 to Nordstrom, $100 to Best Buy, $100 to Apple, $100 here, $100 there, but you had to do it for the whole team. I don't even remember how it started. So then one day Jim Thome and I got to talking trash to each other, and he bought dinner somewhere, and I was like, okay, I'll buy it in Minnesota, and it was at Fogo de Chao, and it was literally everybody had to come. I don't know what the final bill was, but it was expensive. Let's just say that. It was not a cheap, we're going to split it. Thome bought it somewhere, and then he said, oh, you won't do it. And I'm like, okay, next road trip, Fogo de Chao, we're all set, everyone come. And 40 people showed up, and we had a dinner.
Wow.
Fogo
Do you
de
guys have
Chao,
any
like drinks and dessert and everything.
Mm-hmm. The whole deal. Paid for everything. Oh yeah.
Do you guys have any rookie like credit card roulette stories where rookies shit their pants because they thought that they had to pay for a big league dinner and they were like making minor league minimum?
No, the only
we
one.
did it.
You guys did it, and did you make them pay?
Oh yeah. Then we gave them cash.
Oh, I was about to say.
But then we gave them cash. No, we did. You used to what you do is you put the tape on the credit card. So you tell the server, you say, hey, pick the one with the tape on it. And they don't know that there's tape on the credit card. So the server, and then. Oh, I can't afford that. And you're like, yes, you can, Rook. Let's go.
Oof. I don't even want to say this one to start. This one hurts. Royce Lewis going down, and Cam, a groin issue for him. He said probably not very optimistic, to be honest with you. You know, it's left groin tightness, praying, but it's usually always horrible news. So we'll see. It's not just what we find out about the severity of the injury. It's the quote here. You know, he's starting to get to a place where he's like, damn. And it actually is reminding me most of Byron Buxton than anyone else in the league, I would say. I mean, his issues are kind of chronic. Maybe it's the case for Royce, but I mean, Royce Lewis is one of the best hitters when he's on the field, but there's just a lot of things popping up against him in the last few years.
Yeah, he's an extremely electric player, and this is just really unfortunate to see because you can see the passion exuding from his game when he plays. You can tell he's a guy who's missing time, and when he's on the field, he is really grateful. So to see this happen, Todd, AJ knows, when you start talking about muscle injuries, groins and hamstrings and quads, these things can linger, and especially when you talk about a guy like Royce, who, I think takes pride in being, a extremely good athlete. This definitely, hurts you, especially when you start to look at the quote and look at what he said. You can tell this is something that is going to take some time, and you got to believe that Minnesota Twins, with his health history, they're going to take their time on making sure he's healthy and ready to go whenever that time comes.
Yeah, it's the key to the season in my mind. Royce Lewis is the key to the season. Have you seen his clutch numbers too? I mean, when guys are on base, he is a star at the plate during his almost a full season's worth of games between this year and last year. Another quick one. This for the Nats. Josiah Gray felt elbow discomfort similar to what he felt in April during his last rehab start. So he's going to get an MRI. Next step, they'll make a plan once they get the results there. So that's not a fun one for the Nats, who, have been falling in this series to the Mets, and they're starting to fall out of it a little bit, which is probably not a big surprise. So they'll probably be minor sellers at the deadline is my guess. And then the Tigers. What's up?
The question is for the Nats is who are they going to sell? What are their options? I mean, do they do like a Trevor Williams? Do they do someone at the back end of their bullpen? Who they don't really have? I mean,
Lane
Corbin,
Thomas.
they'd love obviously to move.
I got names for you. Yeah.
Some
You guys
of
are
their
putting them
bullpen
up.
arms are pretty good.
Lane Thomas. I mean, Finnegan's different because he's been great and he's fitting there and he's got another year. So I would be careful on that one. But Lane Thomas, I mean, some of the vets, Winker, Gallo, Rosario, Meneses types out there.
Rosario got DFA'd, so he's out.
Right, not Rosario. But yeah,
another
that
name
whole
is
vet mix.
Ariarmo Vargas, man. Dude can play. I stand on it. I continue to hype this guy up. That's a guy who can help a contender. Talk about versatile, play multiple positions, switch hitter. That's another guy. They said might not sound like that big piece, but could be a piece that really helps a winning ball club down the stretch. So they have a couple pieces.
Yeah, Derek Law, Dylan Floro, some bullpen types because everyone's going to need bullpen help. A lot of bullpens are falling apart. And then lastly, real quick, the Tigers, are taking some hits too. And the one there was a setback for Carpenter, which sucks. I mean, they've really been missing him in the lineup. Baez starting a rehab assignment. Mize might be out until after the All-Star break. It's been a really disappointing bounce back year for him so far. And then Flaherty is the big one because that's also the big trade chip for them. Second injection in his back, start pushed back again. It's time to the Cleveland series. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. And a quick reminder to everyone, if you feel like you need a little shirt or a hat or a coffee mug, Cam's rocking the FT shirt today. FoulTerritoryShop.com is the spot if you want to support the FT fam and get the softest shirts in the biz. The wristbands, the stickers, we got a lot to offer on there. Multiple versions of hats. FoulTerritoryShop.com. We'll go over locks before we hit the weekend. The owner of the Baltimore Orioles is new to the party, and he likes to party. David Rubenstein was part of this. I always mess up the name. What's the name? Bird. I'm like Splash Down, Splash Zone, Bird Water. What the? I never can get the name. Bird Bath. I always forget the freaking name. Did you like this though? I mean, is this not the dream? Awesome. Yeah. Look at this.
This is why you buy a team. This is why you buy a team.
Let's go.
This right here, and he did the awesome commercials. He did the commercials where he's all dressed up. Like, this is why you buy a team. You spend the money you spend on this team to do this in front of the people that are paying the salaries for your team and putting money in your pocket. And you got to spray him down with, look at him go. I mean, this is awesome. Why can't we get more owners involved like this to do cool things like this and be around the people? I mean, I know some of the minority guys bought, beer over at Pickles Pub and the whole deal, but this is awesome. This is what I want out of my owner. This is what I want to see. I don't want them cooped up somewhere where you never see them. Like, be out, be among the people, get them excited. This is exciting.
I think you hit the nail on the head, man. This is what we need to see more of. More action from owners, from even GM. Somebody get out there, enjoy the crowd. I remember Brody Van Wagen, and he got in the crowd in the 7-line army. One time with the Mets.
So did Stevie Cohen.
Stevie. Oh, yeah, he did it too. But
yeah, Stevie Cohen
before that.
Yep.
But like that's cool stuff, man. Go out and greet a fan. Go out and give out some souvenirs to a lucky group that gets picked, and just be a guy or a girl, whoever's in whoever's the brass of that organization. Meet and greets. They're awesome. Enjoy the moment. Fist pump somebody, you know what I mean, and enjoy it. And he's an older guy; he wants to enjoy life too. So it's like, listen, if I'm a Baltimore fan, I'd be trying to find a way to get to the outfield and do all that stuff. So yeah, it is good for the game too.
Yeah, Peter Seidler was not in the crowd all the time with Padres fans, but he would take walks around the park and talk to people, and obviously invested a ton in the team. There are some real superstars running teams right now, and. BetMGM lock time. Thank you, Leo. So yesterday, Pap hit. Look at him with the Nerfy with the Tigers and the Twins, and then Cleveland won. Kratz fell. Atlanta lost. And then, I got that hit late with Arizona and LA. That was a sweaty bet for me, but I hit it. I've been hitting over-unders lately. AJ, which one? Oh, Milwaukee, Colorado ended up being. You got your Ks on Grayson, but
Yeah, I was hoping they tied it up in the ninth, and I was like, just go to extra innings, and we'll have like one of those Colorado games where it ends up like 7-6 when it was be 4-4 or whatever. And they didn't. Reese Hoskins had to go and stick his elbow in front of a 100-mile-an-hour pitch and give him the lead. I mean, what was he thinking? So yeah,
Damn
it happened.
teammate. Yeah. So all right, let's fast forward to today, and Jonathan Papelbon coming in hot right now with Pap's pick.
What's up, my people of FT? Yeah, it's your boy, Parlay Pap, coming in hot from yesterday. You already know I hit that parlay yesterday. So guess what we're going to do today? We're going to stay hot, we're going to keep it rolling, and Parlay Pap going to come through for you. Here we go. First one I got, you know what? I hit a first inning no run yesterday, so I'm going to stay on that again, okay? Just because you got to stay on the heater. You never come off the heater. Let's go. Ready? Zach Wheeler, Shota Imanaga. They going up against each other in the friendly confines today. I'm going no run in the first on that game. And you already know, your boy AJ's team. You already know I'm going against them. Taking the Guardians again in the money line. We're going to put them together for $150. And we're going to get that cheese. The cheese going to be about $360. Then we're going to go party. Let's go.
Whew. Every time. He does it every time. He does it every time. Every single time. But
never misses.
Every time. Every time.
He's so good.
He's going to lose, though, today. He's losing today.
You're not tailing that pick today?
Nope. I'm going against Pap. You know why?
Why?
Screw Papelbon and his bad picks and juju against the White Sox. That's why. He's going to go partay. Well, the White Sox are going to win today because Eric Fetty Monster's pitching, and they're facing Gavin Williams, who's on his first start back this year from rehab. He's on a low pitch count. So that way I took the White Sox money line, and I took Gavin Williams under 4.5 Ks. And you know what that gets me? Plus 4 hundo. Plus 4 hundo.
Wow. There you go.
How much you putting on that one?
100. Just 100.
Okay. All right.
Hundo to win 4. I like it. Cam, you're up.
Williams on a pitch count, man. He's only going to throw 80, maybe 80.
Well, you know what? It is going to be a pitching duel, but the Phillies have been a team that they do not play down to the competition. So I'm going to say kick them while they're down. Zach Wheeler will come out, and he's going to absolutely shove tonight. I'm going with the over 7.5 punchies today. Big night for Zach Wheeler. Going to continue to kick the Cubs while they're down.
Yeah, they are down. They're down hard right now. Cubs are falling
down
apart.
Bad.
I'm
gonna stick with that line too, brother. This is gonna be the most money I've put on a game. I'm picking the Phillies minus 120 money line to win this game with Wheeler pitching. I'm going 600 to win $500 today.
Wow.
I'm feeling fried. This is my 5-star pick of the year.
This
is my guy right here.
Wow, this is big.
This is mine.
Wow.
This is big.
So far, this is my best pick of the year.
Okay, we might need to clip this separately and post this all over BetMGM. I want this one out there for the world. This is big. All of a sudden, they're going to be in Philly like, ratings are off the charts tonight. Double the audience tonight. I was actually considering that one. I'm definitely tailing that as soon as I get off here. I'm hitting the app. All right, lastly, I'm going to actually look at the Orioles and the Mariners. It's at 7. I'll take the over. I know Seattle struggle city right now. You're going up against Dean Kramer. I think this could be a game where they crack through for a few runs. I think Baltimore's offense is better than that. I know they're going up against Logan Gilbert, but to me, I see enough in this one. If you look at Kramer's, I know he hasn't pitched he's coming off the triceps injury. I think there's enough here to convince me that the under, what did I have here? It's cashed in 11 of the past 15 starts for Logan Gilbert. I know I'm going against the grain a little bit here, but I've been playing the over-unders pretty well. So just feel me out on this one, okay? And guess what promo we're doing today? This one's just for you, AJ. And I guess Todd Father's been hitting the soccer market too.
I've been watching it.
Summer soccer with BetMGM's early payout markets. You can avoid last-minute penalties and crappy refs and win your wager if your team takes a 2-goal lead. So you select any Euros or Copa match you want to bet, scroll to the match result market with the early payout tag within that match, and then you place a regular time bet on either the team in the match result market. And if they take a 2-goal lead, your bet gets paid out early as a winner, no matter what happens for the rest of the match.
By the way, can I just say what a disappointment the U.S. soccer team was in the Copa America?
Yes.
I mean, going out early like that. I mean, there was so much hype around this team and so much. And with the 4th of July being tomorrow, like, damn, everyone was excited. Kristen Pulisic and the whole boys, and then they go out and lose the way they did. It just it hurts. It hurts a little bit in here.
Yeah. We suck at soccer compared to the world. It's still the case.
I don't understand why, though. Why do we got to suck at soccer?
Our best athletes don't play soccer.
Correct. The best athletes in each country, many of them play soccer, right? Especially in the ones that are good, right? Not obviously in DR and Puerto Rico and Venezuela and all that, but I'm talking about these countries that are playing well. I mean, soccer sometimes is still like 5th or 6th on the list, right? Oh, you're a sick athlete. Football, basketball, baseball, even hockey for some dudes, right? Like,
I wonder what these guys are getting paid too. They're like,
I'll tell you what they're not getting paid. Jason Tatum's contract, Giancarlo Stanton's contract, Kyler Murray's contract, etc.
Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, look at their contracts. They make those guys look like they're making nothing.
That's true.
But
That's
those
true.
are the top of the top. What about the guys in between those guys?
If you're in the MLS, you're not getting paid squat compared to that. Let's slap.
Well, that's not even fair.
We only got a minute. AJ, there's multiple people asking you about Luis Roberts' no throw at the plate.
Gosh. Listen, I had people texting me about it this morning. Just let it eat. Right, Cam? You're a center fielder. You caught the ball. You're not even – he had time to get behind that ball and have it. You know that he had time to get behind that ball and throw – at least give – what happens if Jimenez trips? What happens if something crazy happens?
Dream. Absolutely. That ball's up all day. That's an outfielder's dream. You get behind it late in the game. Worst case scenario, you get to show your arm off, like AJ said, and anything can happen. Literally, we've seen the craziest things happen in this game. If he falls, who knows, hits a pebble or rock, something crazy happens, you have to let it go. You got to let that go. But you know what? Sometimes that's the thing that bothers me sometimes with Luis Roberts. He kind of plays lackadaisical at moments, and that's the one thing. Let's just turn it off. Keep it turned on the whole game, please.
Might need a change of scenery. Might get it. We'll see. Thanks to the Bally's TV and app audience and marquee audience for watching this one today. It is July 4th. We'll observe the holiday. We'll be off, and then we're back with FT on Friday. We will see y'all then. We'll stick around for a moment here on the YouTube channel to get to Dodgers territory on the FT network. Hey. All right, we got a couple minutes left. I did have at least one or two other questions that I gathered from the chat. So here's Rakia. Ken mentioned the Yankees need a starting pitcher and bullpen help at the trade deadline. Luis Gil, unknown, been struggling. What other starting pitching targets are out there besides Eric Fetty from the White Sox and Cal Quantrill from the Rockies? It's funny that the two names that he brought up were Fetty obviously makes sense, but it's funny. Quantrill certainly could get traded, but if you look at the recent past of the Rockies, they barely trade anybody at the deadline. They love their people, they keep their people, and they're hoping 2038 looks different. Other starters. We talked a lot about Crochet. Sorry, it's what, too hard?
It is. It's just so sad. Like, they don't do anything. They never do anything.
Right.
They never it's like even we had Joe Madden, right? Joe Madden's talking about Chris Bryant. They signed Chris Bryant. He can't get on the field. It's like I don't know, man. Just go back to bashing out there. Like, try something different. Like, they need to just go and blow the whole thing up and start over. That's the problem I have with the Rockies.
You're like poking them, like, you've seen that meme? Like, do something. Do something. What are you doing? All right. Anyway, other starters. Let's see. The Cubs should be selling at this point Kyle Hendricks. I know if you're looking for front end like Fetty. We've talked a lot about Crochet. Oof. I know Cam's big on Tyler Anderson, who's having a great year, and I like your call on Anderson because the Angels will want the team to eat all the money. He's still got $15 million left for next year, so there are certain teams will have that edge, right? That'll be like, we can take on that money.
It's a sweet deal for any teams want to pick up that contract. That's a safe deal.
Yep. Crochet is going to cost a lot, though.
He is, and I don't think he's going to start the rest of the whole year like this. It's hard to imagine him. He's going to cost a lot. I think it's like a weird case because he hasn't pitched like this in the past. He's been a bullpen guy.
Yeah, we'll see.
What's he going to look like in September?
What about
Luis
Gil-ish?
Who?
You just hope he doesn't hit that Luis Hill,
Right.
spot right now. Like you said, the most innings he's ever thrown. It could happen.
Kikuchi for me, definitely going to get traded. And maybe even Chris Bassett, maybe Eflin if the Rays get frisky. If the Reds fall out of it, which I don't think they will enough, but maybe Montas. So there's still some names. There's some names. No, not getting anyone too excited. We got a lot of trade deadline coverage over the next few weeks. Things could change, okay? Dave Roberts on Dodgers territory with Alana Rizzo and Clint Pasillas will flip you right over to the channel. And please subscribe to our channel and their channel. We appreciate that a lot. If you want to hear from Doc, that's coming up.
America.